Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu. Ahmaduhu wa astaghfiruhu. Wa a'minu bihi jalla wa ala wa la akfuruhu. Wa nashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Wa ala alihi wa ajma'in amma ba'd. That is, all praises are due to Allah, the cherisher, the sustainer, the guardian, evolver of all the worlds. We believe in him and do not disbelieve in him. We openly testify and bear witness that there is no God worthy of worship except Allah, and that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the seal of the Anbiya. He is the seal of the Rasuls. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jal for his choicest blessings forever to be upon his beloved, our beloved Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his Quran, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Inna Allaha wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You know, we've been going through some things as far as what's needed in the daily life. And we've been picking up on conversations of, you know, the state of affairs of the Muslims, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Here in this particular section, section 7, is his state regarding the necessary actions of daily life. Now, so let's start off by asking a question. From the time you get up in the morning to the time that you go to sleep, how much of that time, whether it's 10 hours, 15 hours, 16 hours, 18 hours of awake time, whatever that amount of time that you are awake, how much of it is dedicated to Allah and his messenger? How much of it is habitual Islamic life? That's a question, because there is a paper that I'm writing, and it has two ideas that I'm trying to present. One is spiritual slavery, and the other one is a Christian Muslim. I'll just let you think about those two titles. I ain't gonna go too deep into it, but just for the sake of this class, spiritual slavery. In that particular presentation or paper that I'm working on, I'm trying to almost do a comparison between voluntary slavery to Allah, or let's say voluntary servitude to Allah, and spiritual entrapment. And the difference between the two is that one is habitual, naturally habitual, and the other one is traditional. And within that one, the latter, spiritual entrapment, the individual is institutionalized by tradition, where therefore he or she is not thinking about the rituals of of their way of life, nor are they thinking about the spirituality of their life. They are more so thinking about God in a way that we should just fear him instead of love him. The other idea that I'm trying to put across, Christian Muslims, you can almost say that it's an offshoot of that latter ideology, whereas Muslims have come into Islam with so much vicarious and environmental conditioning from Christianity. And instead of trying to come into Islam and engulf in the philosophy of Islam or the ideology of Islam, we must first go through the struggle of weeding out Christian influences and Christian baggage or knowledge that we have brought into Islam and applied it. Now, here in this particular section, we are talking about the state regarding the necessary actions of the daily life. The state in this particular instance is being represented or is gearing you towards your mind. What is the state of your mind? So with that as a background, let's go ahead. The things necessary for daily life can be three kinds. There's a kind which is excellent when it is little in quantity. There's a kind which is excellent when it is large in quantity. There's a kind which varies according to the situation. The sort of thing agreed to be more perfect and praiseworthy when it is little in quantity in any situation, both according to custom and the Sharia, consists of such things as food and drink. Both the Arabs and the men of wisdom continue to praise making do with little of them and censor having too much of them, because indulging in a lot of food and drink indicates greed, avarice, avidity, and being dominated by your appetite. Now, we have spoken about this before, being in control of your appetite. And there is a serious connection between physical appetite and spiritual appetite. Because a person can be a slave to food. Therefore, or their physical appetites or their desires. Your desires can turn into your physical appetites by your pursuance of it. How much energy you go towards your desires will turn into a physical attribute that can lead you to the extreme. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, woe to those who take their desires as their illah, as their God. So here he says that having too much of them, because indulging in a lot of food and drink indicates greed, avarice, avidity, and being dominated by the appetite. The results in harm in this world and in the next. It brings about a physical illness, coarseness in the self and dullness in the brain. A little of it indicates contentment and self-control. Restraint of the appetite produces health, clear thought, and sharp mind. Think about it. Think about Ramadan for this particular instance, and the only reason why I said Ramadan first is because it's continuous, it's day after day. So you have to prepare yourself to control not only your physical appetite, but you are supposed to encourage decreasing your spiritual appetite while you increasing your spiritual appetite as far as ibadah. So the Prophet ﷺ said during the month of Ramadan, even though you're fasting, the Muslims should be more busy. Why? In the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the hardest thing to do when Ramadan comes? Is to stop yourself from opening up the refrigerator and going up in there. Stop yourself from thinking about food. Stop yourself from thinking that you're hungry. Stop listening to your stomach growling. And on those days where we are lazy to get up and eat a proper suhoor, or even indulge in suhoor in your breakfast meal, or I should say your dinner meal, you become lethargic throughout the day. And what happens is the thought, if not every hour, every other hour, whoo, how many more hours we got before we break our fast? Whoo, man, we got 9 more hours. What I'm gonna do for 9? See, what that indicates is that the self or the nafs is still being controlled by its physical appetite. And if we cannot control the physical appetite in the form, because there's several different types of physical appetite. You have food and drink, you have intimacy, you have with your partner, you have, if you are a person that got sticky fingers, those physical appetites have to be controlled, right? And you have to restrain yourself. And how does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describe fasting? He said it's to teach us self-restraint. So now go back to the top where it says the things necessary for daily life can be 3 kinds. There are a kind which is excellent, which is in little quantity. There's a kind which is excellent when it's in large quantity. And there is a kind which varies according to the situation. Then he starts off the sentence saying that to be more perfect and praiseworthy when it is little in quantity in any situation. So if we have the bare minimum going into a situation where we will not exceed or become full off of our indulgence, that is more praiseworthy to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because what happens when you eat too much? You get full, you get the itis, right? Certain food just knock us out within a couple of hours, if not that long, 15, I'm just gonna sit here for 5 minutes. Next thing you know, you're going to sleep. Once you get your desires full, I don't mean to be disrespectful to anyone, but it's the same thing when intimacy happens. First thing happens, after that, you get to smiling a little bit. Next thing you know, you passing out and you snoring because your physical appetite has been satisfied. Now, when you decrease your physical appetite and you give into and you try to increase your spiritual appetite, in spirituality, you can never get enough because you never fed it in the first place. It always seems like there's more that you can do. There's that you know, if you just made your salat, you made your sunnahs, and there's some nafils, you know, it's like, man, I need to do some more. When your physical appetite is just going off of the bare minimum, you have more synaptic firing in your cognitive abilities to be able to give more attention to Allah, and in fact, in that particular state of mind, you are more appreciative and you are more able to listen to the words of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam than you are at any other time. Because when somebody's trying to talk to you, when you just got a good plate of fish and plantains, man, you can remember Allah, but you not like, okay, hold on, let me just sit here for a second. We get right back on that. Let us continue. The results in harm in this world and the next. It brings about a physical illness, coarseness, and in the self, and a dullness in the brain. A little of it indicates contentment and self-control. Restraint of the appetite produces health, clear thought, and a sharp mind. The same applies to the excess of sleep. It is an indication of feebleness and weakness and a lack of intelligence and astuteness. This produces laziness, the habit of failure, frittering, that's a good word, frittering away one's life in what is not useful, hardness of the heart, and neglect and death of the heart. The proof of this is well known, observed, and transmitted in what previous communities and wise men of the past have said, particularly in the poems of the Arabs and their stories. It is also to be found in sound hadith, the traditions of the Salaf, and those who came after them, which do not need to be quoted. We will not mention them in full here, giving only a summary since the knowledge they contain is quite well known. So let's go back up to the top of this paragraph. It says that the same applies to the excess of sleep. It is an indication of feebleness and weakness and a lack of intelligence and astuteness. Now, some folk may take offense to that because they say, well, shoot, if I had to come in at 6 o'clock, 6:05, I ain't got to be to work till 8:30, 9 o'clock. Get up and make Fajr, and you plan it. I'm gonna get up and make Fajr, and I'm going right back to bed. Right? So, what's indicated in that particular summary, in that particular example? What is exuded there is that I have to get satisfaction of my physical self. So now you have become greedy in sleep. Doesn't have to be food. It can be greedy in sleep. Because, think about it. Let's say, for example, you usually go to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock, right after Isha. You make a straight beeline to the bed. Okay, alhamdulillah, you say, all right, we following the sunnah. Prophet ﷺ said, go to bed, shut it down after Isha. Now, before the shutdown happens, Maghrib is, by Maghrib, there shouldn't be no dishes in the sink. Your kitchen should be clean, shut down, right? If you got some smell good, burn some smell good up in the house, right? The house should be peaceful. If you're going to chill after Maghrib, watch a little TV, read, whatever you're going to do. Cleaning shouldn't be done after Maghrib because it takes away from the hasana that Allah Ta'ala has given you for the day. So Isha comes along, right? So you're chilling out to Isha, and right after Isha, you make a beeline for the bed. Alhamdulillah, no problem, right? So let's say you get to bed 9:30, 10 o'clock. Alhamdulillah. If it's a quiet night, you might go to sleep 15, 20 minutes after you hit the bed. Right after you relax, you unwind, your mind settle down, right? Or you might watch a little bit of Perry Mason, something, right? You fall asleep. Okay. So let's say you go to bed 9:30, 10 o'clock, by 11 o'clock you sleep. And you got to get up, Fajr comes in at 6. So let's say that's 7 hours right there, right? So let's say 6.5 for that, you wake up at 5:45, and take you about 15 minutes to get ready for Salat, right, for Fajr. In that 15 minutes, what are you thinking about? in that 15 minutes, are you trying to satisfy your intentions of going back to bed right after Fajr? Or are you thinking in a matter where I didn't get enough sleep, I'm still tired? Any of those particular things, instead of thanking Allah from waking you from the dead. That is a part of what is necessary in the daily life. It is necessary for us to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our daily life every day. And it starts right there. Well, actually, it started before you went to bed. And then it starts again when you wake up. So if you are trying to satisfy that appetite or that intentions to go back to bed after Fajr, you have become greedy to your desires. Because it's more important, that thought at that particular time is more important for you to get back into bed in comfort than it is to be uncomfortable, because now what has happened, Fajr has become uncomfortable to you. Praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has become uncomfortable because it's messing with your sleep. So prayer becomes a nuisance without you saying it, but it's in your body language, it's in your attitude. So one of my teachers years ago, he always used to make fun of the brothers, right? And he used to say, he said, the brothers are always talking about how they gonna jack this person up, how they gonna do this, they ready for battle and this, that, and the other, but they can't even get up for Fajr, right? And I used to think about it, I was like, daggone, all right. And then one day he gave a little commentary to it, right? And he said, okay, brothers said, y'all ready, right? So this was like after Fajr prayer. And he said, brothers said they ready, right? He said, yeah, we ready, brother, man. We ready to go out. We got to deal with the kuffar. We got to deal with them. We got to let them know we here, right? So he said, how many of y'all here at Fajr? So brothers started looking around, counting. About 12 of us, Imam. He said, well, it was 100 of y'all at Juma yesterday. But it's only 12 of y'all for Fajr. But y'all ready to do battle. How are you going to do battle when you can't even battle yourself out of your bed for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This is giving in to the greed of your own desires. And here, the author is saying that it produces laziness, the habit of failure. What is the habit of failure? The habit of failure is, well, if I don't get to it now, I'll get to tomorrow. I'll do it later. Right? And we hear people say, don't put off today what you could do. Well, don't put off for tomorrow what you could do today, because tomorrow's not promised. All right. Regarding both of the above mentioned things, the Prophet ﷺ was known for the most abstemious of men, a fact which can be gleaned from his well-known biography. He commanded and encouraged people to make do with little of them, connecting them together. The Al-Midkaram ibn Makarib said that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, the son of Adam does not fill any container worse than his belly. Sufficient for the son of Adam are some morsels to keep his back straight. If there must be more, then is a third for his food, a third for his drink, and a third for us to breathe. Because the results of a lot of food and drink is a lot of sleep. That's a serious, serious statement. Because we are all guilty of it. Sometimes we'll eat until we can't, it's hard to breathe. Be leaning back in the chair, whoo, taking them deep breaths, rubbing on your stomach, right? And you know, Bob Marley made a song, say they belly full, but they still hungry. So the physical appetite, if it is not nutritional, can still make you feel hungry. And as Muslims, our spiritual appetite should outweigh our physical appetite. And if we are spiritually hungry, we will be lacking in faith and going forth in the path of Allah. Let me bring up the rest of this page. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, here we go. There we go. Let's blow this up so we can see. And let's share it. All right. Bam. All right. Says at the top of the page here, one of the Salaf said, do not eat a lot so that you drink a lot and then sleep a lot and lose a lot. When they're talking about the Salaf, that's another word supposedly be for one of the Sahaba, right? So one of the Sahaba said, do not eat a lot so that you drink a lot and then you sleep a lot. You know, one of the things during the time of the Nation of Islam, right? And I believe it's in the book, How to Eat to Live, by Elijah Muhammad. He said that once you eat, and he was speaking to the Negro, he said, once you eat and you finish your meal, you should never drink while you eat. You should always drink 30 minutes to 45 minutes after you eat. Right? And in some surgeries, bariatric surgeries and stuff like that, or something to do with your intestines or stomach, if you have ulcers, they will tell you the same thing. If you eat, wait 30 minutes before, at least 30 minutes before you drink. And if you drink something and you're about to eat something, wait. If you drunk a whole lot of water, wait 30 minutes or so before you eat something. Why? So it won't bring upon a lethargic type of behavior. It is related that the Prophet ﷺ said, the kind of food which I prefer is that with many hands in it. In other words, even the old folks used to say this. You know, when they used to make, you know, one of the things back down south, them biscuits, right? And you say, and you taste some food down south, and you taste some good biscuits, right? You done sop it up with some gravy or syrup, you know, biscuits and syrup. There was a thing, I remember one time where I was probably about 9 or 10, and my mother didn't have any money, and we didn't have any food in the house. But we had bread, we had peanut butter, syrup, and jelly. So my oldest brother used to like to eat syrup and bread. I don't know if any of y'all ever eat that. We used to get that log cabin syrup, put a slice of bread on the plate and pour syrup over it. And we would break that bread up and eat it with the syrup. Syrup and bread. And if you really wanted to get fancy, you would toast the bread. Man, you thought you was doing something. But you know, to the saying of the Holy Last Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that many hands is in it. You know, when you taste good food down south, you say, "Oh, girl, you done put your elbows, feet, and hands all up in this," right? Because when you prepare food, it takes effort, it's work. And you ever notice that if you ever went to your grandmother's house or something like that, or big dinner house, you're having a big dinner, that the food that tastes the best was the food that you really had to get your hands into it and make it. You know, it was just like my grandmother never used a spoon to make her potato salad. She would always use her hand, and she would get in there and turn it around and flip it up. And that's what you do with dough, right? With bread. You got to get in there. So this is what the problem, because it takes work. And when you are working to make your food, you eat less. You eat less when you work to make your food. When it takes effort, when it takes hours to prepare a meal. But something that's instant, something that you buy, you bring it home, when you go to a restaurant or something like that, you may get full off of it, but later on, you still got the nibblies or something. Because you didn't make no effort. All you did was drive, you sat, you ate, whoop, and you get up. There's a science to this. Aisha radiallahu anha said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam never filled his stomach completely. When he was with his family, he did not ask them for food nor desire it. If they fed it to him, he ate. He accepted whatever they served him, and he drank whatever they gave him to drink. Now, this is a big problem, and I'm talking to myself first, and I had to learn this. Two things here. If you are going to a Muslim house, you should not have to worry about whether or not the food is halal or not. You shouldn't have to worry. But now, if you saw that Muslim down at the Piggly Wiggly, or the Kroger, or the Safeway, or Wally World, and they buying their meat from there, and they invite you to dinner, when the invitation comes, you should either say it to them in a very nice way, say, you know, brother, we only eat, or if the sister's calling the sister, sister, we only eat halal meat. So you don't have to go to your brother's and sister house or brother or sister house with suspicion. Because the Prophet ﷺ said it's a sin to be suspicious of your brother or sister. Now, let's say you forgot all of that and you got there and they serve you some food, right? You're supposed to take it. You're supposed to take it. You're supposed to go on and eat it, right? Now, if they know that you're a vegetarian or what have you, then, you know, they should prepare dishes to your liking or what have you, but that shouldn't be a thing. Now, sometimes, especially since there's so much allergies going on with peanut oil, and this, that, and the other, some Muslims, when they invite you to their house, they will ask you, do you have any dietary restrictions? If they give you that question, then answer the question. So therefore, when you go there, there should be no suspicion again. So whatever they serve you, you should eat it, right? Now, if they ask you if there's any dietary restrictions, you say no. and then they make greens and you don't eat greens, you know, it's kind of offensive to get to somebody's house and they say, hey, they put some big old pot of greens on your plate, and you say, I don't eat this. You know what I'm saying? It should be like, I eat some vegetables, but I don't eat greens. So, because they're inviting you to their house. And that's another thing. If a Muslim invites you to their house to eat, you should take the invitation. In fact, it's a sin on you if you don't take the invitation. Okay? So now here, the Prophet's behavior was when he went to his wife's house or his family's house, he did not ask for food, nor did he desire it. If they fed him, he ate. If they gave him something to drink, he drank it. This is something that the Muslim community has gotten far, far away from. And we have become so unhospitable that it's a sin. When someone comes to your house, you should automatically offer them something to drink and eat. And I don't know how we got away from this, because when back home, down home, or wherever you from, when you went over to the older folks' house, your aunt's house, your grandmama's house, whoever house that was older than you, when you walked into their house after the pleasantries was given, the platitudes was given, they would ask you, you want something to drink? You want something to eat? You come to a Muslim house. I've been in Muslim houses, man, sat in there for hours. They ain't offered me one glass or nothing. I would have to ask, because we've been talking so much for the last 2 hours, my throat that got dry. I need to ask them for something to drink. Can I get a glass? Oh man, I forgot. How the hell you forget? All right, I ain't gonna start preaching because we're about to run out of time. Okay. This is not to contradict by the hadith of Bariya, when the Prophet ﷺ said, didn't I see a pot with meat in it? It is possible that the Prophet ﷺ asked in this instance, since he realized that they thought it was not lawful for him, and he wanted to make the sunnah clear, seeing that they did not offer him any of it, even though he knew that they did not prefer themselves to him. He ascertained whether what he thought was true and made the matter clear for them by saying, it is sadaqah for her and a gift for us. So in other words, this is a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ went into someone's house and they was cooking some meat, but they didn't know whether the Prophet ate the meat or not. So they offered him something else, and the Prophet said, hey, ain't you got some fried chicken up in there? Basically, right? Or some fish, right? I saw some stew being cooked up in there. I want some of that, right? So it was a lesson in that, where he was teaching the people, that yes, you can offer something. Give the opportunity to the person to say, no, that's okay, but you at least offer it to them. That is the sunnah. And the Prophet ﷺ saying that whoever you offer something to, it is a sadaqah for you, the offerer, and is a gift for the receiver. So everybody gets hasana, gets blessings when a Muslim invite another Muslim to their house. And I asked this question a couple of years ago in a class, and I said, when the last time you invited a Muslim to your house to eat? And ain't nobody said nothing. I love to entertain. I love to feed. That's one of the things me and Sakina got in common. It's like, yo, come on over to the house so I can feed you. It's quiet as it's kept. I don't know if she in here or not, but quiet as it's kept. There's a little competition going on between me and the sister about, cooking for people. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, who cooks, who can cook this and this. But what I have come to find out is that there are some dishes I can't even compete with the sister with. It's like, yo, she throw it down, it's like, it's all right. And then there's some dishes I got, she can't even put her finger in, and it's cool. So we kind of complement each other. But to be a part of inviting people to your house and cooking for them, subhanAllah, and it's a beautiful thing. All right. Part of Luqman's wisdom is, my son, when the intestines are full, reflection sleeps. Wisdom is dumb, and the limbs falter in worship. Y'all should take note of that. This is the Prophet Luqman, alayhi salatu salam, speaking to his son. When the belly is full, reflection sleeps. There is no thought, there is no remembrance. Wisdom is dumb. The hikmah at that particular time of producing anything that is good is dumbfounded by the environmental circumstances of your belly being full, and the limbs falter in worship. Now, again, we are speaking about what the Prophet ﷺ, the author, has described as daily life matters or daily rituals. Sometimes it is very important for us to look back at our daily construct of our lives to see what it is that is keeping us from doing something that we need to do or want to do. And if we are overindulging in anything besides the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then we are out of sort, we are out of balance. In a sound hadith, Shanun said, knowledge is not fitting for someone who eats until he is full. That's serious. In a sound hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, as for myself, I do not eat sitting in a settled posture. In other words, he not sitting on some fluffy cloud pillows where he just ready to fall back, go to sleep after he finished eating. He's sitting up and partaking in the food. Most of the time when you travel overseas, the food is set in the middle of you, and you got to work to get the food, because it's sit and everybody sits around, everybody eats out of one plate. Now I know for most Western folk, especially Negroes, that's nasty. I don't want nobody's hands in my plate, right? But you should try it with your children. You should try it with your husband or your wife. Or the next time you at somebody's house, make a plate of something, like a finger food, right? And you sit it in the middle of you all and y'all partaking. What will happen is that you will see, you will scope out the plate and then you will scope out a section for yourself. And everybody will scope out a section for themselves, and then you will eat from that section. What happens in some cultures is like, especially like if they serving a lot of rice or a lot of vegetables with the rice or something like that, and they put one big piece of meat in the middle for everybody to share, the host sometimes will take their right hand, because it should be your right hand, and they will break off pieces of meat for their guests with their hands. Now, if you have to have a knife, a fork or a spoon, because most people, if they don't eat with their hands, they eat with a spoon. The fork is a Western thing. The spoon is an Eastern thing, right? And they will give you a spoon to eat, so you don't put your hands in it or what have you. So, but my point in mentioning that, when you have to sit on the floor, because most of the time you're sitting on the floor, there is no table. 9 times out of 10, there's no table. You're sitting on the floor. So they spread out a ma'idah, like a table spread, a tablecloth on the floor. And they put the glasses where people would sit. They would put the drinks on a tray, put the glasses on a tray, and they would put this big platter in the middle of you, and you all sit around the platter, and you have to position yourself, and you got to kind of be in shape too. And you got to bend over, eat, take a handful, eat. And I'm telling you from experience, you will get full much quicker doing that than you would sitting at a table with a knife and a fork. Sitting in a settled posture, sitting firmly settled or reclined in order to eat, for instance, cross-legged or in some other such comfortable manner, of sitting. Someone who sits in this manner demands food and seeks a lot of it. When the Prophet ﷺ sat down to eat, he sat squatting as someone ready to get up. He said, I am a slave. I eat as a slave eats, and I sit as a slave sits. The import of this hadith, or the importance of this hadith, is not merely reclining in one's side, as some people say. It was the same with his sleep. May Allah bless him and grant him peace. He slept but a little. Sound traditions testify to that. Furthermore, the Prophet ﷺ said, my eyes sleep, but my heart does not sleep. Subhanallah bihamdi. Okay, so the gist of this particular session is for us to get control of our spiritual and our physical appetites. May Allah Ta'ala guide us all. Any questions and or comments?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
So I'm just trying to make sure I understand, are we tying everything in together as far as the recent discussions with the state of the Muslim community, especially among African Americans, the different issues and whatnot. But if we start with ourselves first, go back to the basics, like you say, and just look at our daily lives, what we're doing or not doing from the time we get up to the time we lay down. If we can get those things under control or find some type of balance, we can move forward with those other things that we talk about so much.
Yes, I am tying it all together. Because if you think about it, sis, all of us have a desire for something, right?
Yes.
So now, does that desire, is it in accordance with Allah and His Messenger, sallallahu alaihi wasallam? That should be the first criterion of whatever we are indulging in or whatever we are desiring. Does it fit? What would be the practice of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in that particular instance? If there's no comparison, then there has to be a balance. And the balance is this something that I need, want, or I just got to have it? Just for the sake of it, right? Then what comes into play is this feeding my physical appetite or is this feeding my spiritual appetite? You see, because it's imbalance for us to give more to our physical appetite than our spiritual appetite. Because we can never do enough to thank Allah. There is no, unless you try to become what they call it, a monk or a hermit, as far as the deen, you know, you gonna fast every day, you gonna pray all the time, you ain't got no job.
Right, you ain't got nothing else to do.
You ain't got nothing else to do. You just praying all day, you ain't got no job. You know, you just gonna stay in the house and you just gonna pray all the time. You know what I'm saying? And then that's a hadith, right? Because the Prophet ﷺ said there was a couple of brothers in the masjid like that. So the Prophet ﷺ came and asked, "What's saying? What them dudes over there?" "Oh, messenger of Allah, shoot, man, them brothers good. You know, they be praying all the time. You know, they always in the masjid, right? They get a little bit of sleep. You know, we bring them their food and everything." The Prophet said, "Hold up. Man, you better than them. Because you got to be balanced. You can't be that extreme where you just praying, eating all, you know, people bringing you your food. You know what I'm saying? Next thing you want, think you want coming to America. You got wipers and bathers and all this other kind of stuff going on."
Right.
So yes. Yeah, you said stuff. Okay, so I'm tying all of that in.
You heard. No, it makes sense. You're right. As a matter of fact, when you mentioned, for example, it kind of stung a little bit, the part about sleep. Not that I'm on that level to, where I will get up and do what I have to do, that's for sure. But I understand the concept. I know I love me some sleep. And I find myself, I was like, I have to snap out of this habit. You absolutely right. It's like sometimes you realize you actually planning it out. I'm gonna get up, I didn't get a whole lot of sleep last night. I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna make fajr, and I'm gonna go back to bed. Instead of staying up and dhikr or read the Quran or something like that, basically still worshiping Allah, like you say, thanking Allah for waking me up from the dead. And all I'm thinking about is getting some more shut eye. And it's easy to fall into those patterns. You have to check yourself. So you're right. And I think that if we find that balance, it'll just make us more, better example, more productive and better examples as a whole for the Muslim Ummah.
Inshallah, but all of it starts with ourselves as a pattern, because what happens, let's say, for example, now the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it was his sunnah to take a nap between Dhuhr and Asr. You ever notice that you get kind of sleepy between Dhuhr and Asr? It's innate for us to get sleepy around that time, right? Because I know I do. I be driving down the road, boy, I got to call, or talk, or something, man. Give me some nibblies to keep me awake. But what happens if we got something really serious to do, right? And you call, so you plan it out with somebody, right? And they supposed to meet you at the house at 12:30, right? And you waiting on them, right? Wait, what happened? Get pacing, about ready to lip poked out, right? Ready to cuss the person out. Then you call them, right? They don't answer. You call them again, they don't answer. Call them again, they don't answer. Now you hot, right? So you done blew the day, right? You didn't get a chance to do what you were supposed to do. They call you 3 hours later. Girl, I was sleeping. You get hot, right? You hot.
Right.
We really were supposed to meet. We were supposed to get together. We were supposed to do something, right? And it didn't work out. Now just imagine we supposed to go feed the homeless. Group of us Muslims supposed to get out and feed the homeless, right? And the main one that got the van so we could put the food in fall asleep and they don't show up.
Yes.
You be ready to put 2 up in them.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So now the appetite, the personal desire, what does the brother say? He says, my son, when the intestines are full, reflection sleeps, the thinking sleeps, wisdom is now dumb, and the limbs falter in worship. So because feeding the homeless is an act of worship, it's an act of ibadah. So that person doesn't succumb to their own desires, where hikmah or wisdom is no longer a factor. I'm just gonna sit here for 5 minutes, because that's what we do. We say, I'm gonna sit here for 5 minutes, I'm gonna close my eyes for 10 minutes, and I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna do it. That 10 minutes, boy, a lot of
turn into
soul.
Long 10 minutes.
Exactly. So this setting is to control our appetites, because physical appetite can be sleep. It doesn't have to be food. Physical appetite can be intimacy. It doesn't have to be food. But he starts off, it's amazing that he starts off with food. Think about it. Good question, though.
Well, that's because that's one of the greatest pleasures for the human being is eating. So that's probably why he chose that first. If we can't control that, we can't control much else.
And then there's certain foods that certain people can't eat. It's for a reason. You're not supposed to give kids spicy food. They say it makes them mischievous. Or promiscuous. Because they say, you back in the day, you knew who the girls was hot in the butt and the boys that was hot in the butt. You know who they were.
Right.
And then if you ever got a chance to get to their house, man, they put hot sauce on everything.
Everything.
And then you see they got that commercial now. I put that blank on everything.
Put
Hot
that
sauce.
blank on
Yep, yep.
It's funny that you would say that. Assalamu alaikum. It's funny you would say that because our children today, they eat flaming hots with hot sauce on it.
Every chip you see in the store is flaming. It
It's
even
flaming.
got flame coming out of blackness. Everything is hot. You know, and I like spicy food too, but good God Almighty, man, I can't eat none of them chips. If I go in the store now, I don't even look for chips. I look for popcorn. But then I try to eat spicy popcorn. Then now my system can't take it no more. It really can't. I just got to get some popcorn, put some seasoning on it, some garlic or something, man. But everything is hot. Everything is spicy.
But
It's something to that science, man.
Assalamu alaikum. This was a good reading today because it is actually something that's been going on with me and has been on my mind because I hardly ever slept. And over the last 3 years, especially over the last 2 years, is that I'm always sleep. And I attribute it to, well, you got different stuff on your plate now, brother. You're doing different things. But something that's came up that I noticed that was happening to me, making salah, I'm always yarning. I'm like, why am I yarning so much? And after listening to today's class, I can answer my own questions, you know, in terms of what I'm doing personally. You know, I'm filling my belly up too much. You know, I'm always yarning. I'm making salah, I'm always yarning. I was like, why am I yarning so much, you know? And so today's class answers the question for me if I pay attention.
Well, one thing you can look at that too is because when you come to Salat, you know, your mind takes on a different state and it becomes relaxed. As soon as the mind and the spirit becomes relaxed, it wants respite. And yawning is a hasana from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I was telling Sakina today, you know, we was talking about the sneeze. You know, the sneeze, that's why you say alhamdulillah when you sneeze. You know what I'm saying? Because if Allah can take you out in a sneeze. There's so much shaking going on when somebody sneezes real hard. You know, it jolts your heart, it jolts your brain. You know, you could pass it, but look at the rahmah of Allah. You know, and seeing that, you know where the sneeze come from? The sneeze come from when Allah Ta'ala blew into Adam, alayhi salatu salam. The first thing he did was sneeze. So, you know, there's a hasana in everything, man. So the thing is, with this class, you know, we talking about appetites and controlling appetites and controlling our desires. Basically, if you're looking beyond that, what we're saying balance yourself out.
Yeah.
Because all of us know when we overindulge it. We always know, especially when it comes to food, physical food. We know it, right? And we know what kind of food puts us to sleep, right? But it be so good, you know, I just one more, give me one more piece of that chicken.
One more piece of that fish.
One more. Well, just one more piece, you know. And that one more piece, you know, you was sitting like this in the chair, that one more piece gets you like this. Oh, that thing was good. You know, then you get to leaning because you can't, because the stomach done stretched. You know, one of the things I found out is that the average stomach size is 7 to 10 ounces. The pouch, the stomach, is supposed to only hold 7 on a small person. They may have a pouch that's 7 ounces, and on a large person, maybe 10. I don't care how big they are, their pouch is only 10 ounces. What happens is that the stomach, you start to stretch the stomach. So when you become very, very full, you done stretch the stomach. That's why you will feel it if you don't suffer from indigestion or heartburn. you'll feel it. It's like it's coming back up in your esophagus. Because you ain't get a chance to digest the joint. That's why people say don't go to sleep on a full stomach. It's a science behind it. So if you get lazy from food, that'll make you lazy in other things. And the worship of Allah is the most beautiful thing. It is the most important things in our lives as a Muslim. So he's starting off with food, not to say that it's haram or anything like that, but control that and you can control anything. If you can control your intake, you can control everything else. At least to the point of hikmah, of wisdom and thinking about it. So alhamdulillah, may Allah help us all. Any other questions and or comments? Sister Jessica.
Assalamu alaikum. No questions.
So you save all your questions for your husband. I see how you do. All right. I got you. All right, sister. That's how you all play it. It's all right. Please give a brother my salams, inshallah.
Will do, will do.
Alhamdulillah. Sister Taliba?
No questions, but it did, I was thinking something that you just said, which is that this has a scientific basis, a science that supposedly didn't exist at that time. So where did it come from? You know, like y'all thought you invented this just because, you know, I just think it becomes more fascinating the more that we learn about what the Quran reveals. And but there's folks who write books about this, and it's like you didn't have to write a book. There's already a book.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Sure is. Alhamdulillah. Who else up in this piece? Sister Erica?
Assalamu alaikum. No
Alaikum assalam.
questions.
No question. MashaAllah. Any comments?
No.
Sure? Sound like you got something up in there.
No, I'm good. Alhamdulillah.
Okay, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Sister Tisha.
Assalamu alaikum. I don't have any questions, but this class was definitely very insightful. I think I'm guilty of overindulging in food, sleep, procrastination, everything. So I definitely got some work to do.
We all do, and these classes are reminders, you know, they're just reminders for all of us, you know. That's why we always ask Allah to help us, you know, because, you know, we can all of us get in a crux sometimes, you know. We start, you know, we get a low period, it comes along, we feel a little lethargic, and, you know, we want to hang out or just, you know, lay loose in the house or something like that. We all get those days, and it's all right to splurge every once in a while, you know what I'm saying? But you know when you splurging because you actually say it. You say, man, I'm gonna splurge today. You know what I'm saying? I know I ain't supposed to have this ice cream, but I'm gonna get it today. You know, you actually know it. And if you know it, then you can conquer. So every once in a while, cause shoot, wintertime, man, give me a box of Frosty Flakes. Man, put my Star Trek on, you can't tell me nothing. I might bump that whole box off. And milk, and I drink 2%. It'll put me straight to sleep. Put me straight to sleep. I mean, I put that bowl down, mouth be wide open. So,
Yeah,
but you know,
it's definitely insightful though.
yeah, it is. But you know, we have to recognize it. And it's something that I can't do every day, because if I did it every day, I'll be sleeping every day. But you know, one of the things that I like about my job is the fact that, you know, it's not the fact that I like going to the prison to see our people up in there, because most of the Muslims that I see is African American. And most of the people I see in prison is African American, besides the white folks, them Aryan Nation folk. But the thing about it is I do a lot of walking throughout the day. Because from the time you get to the gate, from the time you get to the parking lot to the front gate, and from the time you get to the gate to where you got to go, man, I done walked a mile, 3 miles.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yes.
So I get my little workout in, so it kind of keeps me energetic. So by the end of the day, I'm shoot, man, put some food up in me, man, I'm gone. Shoot, there's a stick of fork in him. He done. But alhamdulillah, may Allah help us. May Allah help us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you explained the yawning as well, because I find myself doing that also. So
Yeah, because you know it's nothing wrong. It's no sin in it. Because that's a rahmah from Allah. Because when we come to salat, you know, we in a different type of mind. And you will know it. You would know it when you come into salat and you rushing, or you come into salat with a lot of other things on your mind, you never yawn. You never yawn when you come to salat. You got other things like, okay, I gotta make my salat so I can get over here, or I gotta go pick up the children, I gotta go do this or do that, right? When you most relax in salat, when you could put that phone somewhere and you don't even think about that phone, right? Unless there's a fire or the baby that fell from the ceiling because you let him play like he's Spider-Man, he up on a chandelier or something like that. You come to salat, your mind is only on Allah. So your rhythm of your heart changes. Your mind becomes relaxed. And because anytime that we are relaxed as a people or a person, the first thing you're gonna do is yawn.
yes.
You know what I mean? So the thing about it is that we don't want to come to salat sleepy or befogged. When Allah Ta'ala says do not approach salat with a befogged mind, he was talking to those people that was drinking, but it's also drinking with slumber. Slumber is a drink. If you come to salat sleepy, you are drunk in your sleep. So when Allah Ta'ala talks about not coming approaching salat with a befogged mind, the physical of it is the wine. He was talking to the people that was drinking at the time. The spirituality of it is those who come to salat sleepy. They just woke up from sleep and they drunk, they still drunk in their sleep. They don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You follow what I'm saying? So, but if you just come to salat, it's dua time, asr time, you get to making your salat, or isha, it's about the time for you to go to bed. That's when most of the time the yawning come. Fajr is not too much yawning because you trying to get your day started. You know what I'm saying? So you want to pay attention. I think Fajr is the salat, at least for me, is the salat that I give the most attention to, as far as my posture and my manner, because it's the first salat of the day. You know what I'm saying? You may do your wudu a little longer, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You know, so it's serious. If you start to look at yourself and how you pattern yourself, because that's how we started this class off today. Look at yourself and see how you patterning yourself. And what is habitual, what's naturally habitual for you in your worship. And Allah will make it easy. Alhamdulillah.
Shukran.
Alhamdulillah. All right, who else is up in here? Lexi, what's up?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
I don't know if I have any questions, but I definitely was seeing where you was coming from. We were talking about like cooking at home and how like usually like grandmas, when they cook like this big dinner for their family, they won't eat nothing after they cook because they've been in the kitchen all day. And it's like I didn't understand why, but now I know from an Islamic perspective what it is. So that definitely resonates with me.
Yeah, dude, because they just like to sit back and watch everybody enjoy the
Right,
food.
with their hands on their hips.
Yep. How that tastes? That tastes good, doesn't it? That's
I
us.
remember earlier in the classes that you were teaching, you were saying that a lot of Black grandmothers don't really know that their patterns are Islamic.
Yes. Yeah.
So it keeps making sense. It keeps like reinforcing it. The deeper we dive into Islam.
Because Islam is a natural way of life. It's a natural way of life. It's just natural. It just falls in line. The more we give ourselves to Allah, the more natural it becomes. What happens is that we throw up all these artificial walls of don'ts. It's like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do. Why you just can't live life and worship your Lord? You know what I'm saying? Why you just don't flip the coin? You know, it's just a natural way of life. I'm just so thankful that Allah had mercy on me and chose me for this way of life. I'm telling you. Because Lord knows, and the Lord truly knows what kind of people we could have been.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, I think about that every day, just like where I could be or where I would be if I had not come to Islam. And that road looks a little bleak sometimes. So.
Yeah, I had a situation there I want to share with y'all, but I want to give Brother Khalil, before I let y'all go, real quick. Brother Khalil, you got anything?
Hold on, let me put this sandwich down.
Yeah, put that sandwich down.
Assalamu alaikum. Just two things. When you mentioned about Muslims, inviting you to the house and it's sooner to accept.
Yes.
Even if a Muslim, a Muslim is eating 100% halal, what if they have a pet that they're very fond of and the pet is all over the house? I mean, how do you handle that?
When you say pet, you talking about a dog or you talking about a cat?
Dog.
Oh man, I ain't dealing with that. I be like, yo, I can't deal with that, man, because because I'm gonna tell them when they invite me. I said, what you do with your dog? If he say the dog is outside, then alhamdulillah, I'll come. But if he say the dog is inside, I say I can't. I'm sorry. I have to decline. If he asks me why, then I will tell him. That might hurt his feelings, but I'm gonna tell him because the Prophet ﷺ said the dog shouldn't be in the house. The purpose of a dog is to be a guard dog or a hunting dog. And both of them dogs are outside. They don't hunt in the house. They don't have the guard in the house. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes,
they need to be outside. And I don't want no dog here in my food. I'm sorry. People got their dog, they licking their dogs all in the face and all this, that, and other. I don't know what done happened to the Negro. They riding down the street like they Madonna and stuff with their dogs hanging all on them and stuff. I'm like, what the hell? I'm telling you, boy. Yeah, don't get me started. But yeah, go ahead, Ak. You got a second one?
And the second one, am I getting this incorrect? When you mentioned about the yawning and stuff, I was under impression, maybe I'm wrong, that when you yawn, I thought you were supposed to cover your mouth because Satan is trying to urinate in your mouth. Am I getting that incorrect?
Well, that's
the two ways. Does it go both ways?
That's a Salafiyya hadith. But you are supposed to cover your mouth and you're supposed to seek refuge with Allah after you yawn. So if you yawn in Salat, say, for example, you reciting Al-Fatiha in the middle of Al-Fatiha, you yawn. You should put your hand over your mouth, cover it, and you should say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. And then you go on and continue reciting to keep the shaitan from you, because the shaitan is always looking for openings to make you forget or to make you lazy.
But it's still a hasana from Allah?
Yeah, it's still a hasana. It has to be a hasana, because what would happen if the person couldn't yawn? You ever been in one of them positions where you was in mixed company and it seemed like it was impolite for you to yawn and you curbed the yawn? It almost brings upon a pain, a discomfort in your chest and in your head.
Yeah, you swell up.
Exactly. So if you yawn, you put your hand on your mind. Because some of us kind of dramatic.
Okay, thank you, brother man. Let me get back my sandwich again.
Yeah, pick that sandwich up. Probably that bologna sandwich. Probably fried it up too. But check this out, y'all. I had a situation today at the prison. I went to my office today, and I got a clerk, and I got a couple of what they call SSIs, brothers that clean up my office and this, that, and the other. So the coordinator or the Amir of the brothers, the Jamaat in the prison where I'm at, he said, Brother Imam, today is gonna be a hard day. And I was like, you know, because I didn't know what he was talking about. And he was like, I said, nah, I ain't, man, the day is easy. A lot of men, he said, I don't know how you gonna feel. So he said, do you want to witness this? And I said, witness what? And he said, you know, I'm about to sit your clerk down for his sneakiness and lying all the time, right? So I said to him, I said, close the door. So we closed the door, and I said, all right, give it to me straight, so I know what we doing. So after he ran down all of the other stuff that the brother was doing, the backdooring, the stealing, and this, that, and the other. Now this is my clerk, right? But he told me he didn't move on it very quickly because, you know, he didn't want to accuse the brother of doing something that he didn't do unless he had witnesses to bring forth and thus and thus and that. So long story short, he gets to the end of it and he said, yes, the brother also has been indulging in homosexuality activity. So now I'm like, so for me, you know, and I've said this recently because I realized this about myself. And I used to get mad because people would tell me, didn't you see that? Couldn't you see that? And I couldn't see it. I really couldn't see it, right? And this was one of them situations because usually a male fag, I can pick them out. It's something about them. I can just say, either their aura or the way they move their body or something. I'd be like, yo, brother, a pitcher. Or you know, Sakina hate me talking about it. Or I said, a brother catching, he either the pitcher or the catcher. I can't figure out. He might be swinging both ways. Right? So, but this brother, I didn't see it. So they called all of the brothers in. I have, everywhere I go, I always set up a little majlis. Brothers that, you know, I check with security, and these brothers they haven't been written up for a long time. And the officers, you know, they kind of depend on them as far as the community and stuff like that. So, you know, I kind of weigh it out and I get to know brothers. So they call all of the brothers in, it's about 7 of them. They bring this brother on the carpet. So the brother said, I'm gonna sit you down from your position because A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, right? He's going through all the stuff, the backdooring stuff and all of this, that, and the other. And he said, now on the other, we got the other charges, and you know, we got brothers seeing you doing X, Y, and Z. Another brother just got transferred to the prison where I'm at, and he was talking to the coordinator or the mayor, and the brother that I'm speaking about happened to walk by, and he said, man, and he saw the brother with a kufi on, and he said, man, that sister with y'all? So he said that, you know, all of the information that came to him by him not looking for it. And what made him investigate, because that's a serious charge to charge a Muslim with homosexuality. That's a serious charge. Now, when I first started in the prison system, the brother would have been, you would think all the Muslims were Jamaican when they finished with that brother, because, you know, he was a patty man. You know, they was going to chop him up, spit him out, whatever. You might have found that brother in the dumpster or in somebody's food. You know, things are a little different now. But long story short, so we came up to it, the brother trying to deny it. So the first thing he said, you know what, anybody can bring up something that you did 15 years ago, you know, so, and he said it, he threw it out there and nobody caught it. So I'm just sitting there and I'm listening to the brothers, you know, tell this brother, why are you going to be excommunicated from this community? Right, so I said to him, so I interrupted and I said, listen, brother, I said, I'm gonna ask you just one time. Is there any validity to this claim? Did you ever indulge in homosexual tendencies? He said, yes. So I said, when was the last time you indulged? He said, well, it was about 2015. I said, brother, that was just 6 years ago. He said, yeah, just about right. So I said, so all of these new claims and these brothers seeing you in spurious situations, there's no validity here, right? He said, no, Imam, there's no validity in it. So I said, so do you want the witnesses to come forth? He said, yes. So I said, brother, I said, hold up now. I said, now this is serious. Now you saying that you indulge in homosexual tendencies. Last time you indulged was 2015, and you haven't done it since. That's what you're saying to us, right? He said, yes. But these witnesses are saying that this is something that's continuing. He said, I'll deny it. So I said, okay, then take the oath. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about in the Quran to invoke the curse of Allah on your soul, right? And, you know, I had to do a lot of research in this because you can become guilty of this type of behavior because you're trying so hard not to admit that you have indulged in something that you wasn't supposed to indulge in, something that you wasn't supposed to, or you did something and you lied about it that you had no reason to lie, you could have just told the truth. And I know that the ego, when it gets caught, is like trying to catch a chicken in the yard. It's all over the place, right? And we have to be very careful, and I'm speaking to myself first. We have to be very, very, very careful about what we invoke Allah in our personal lives. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He knows the deepest, darkest secrets of your heart, of our hearts. So now if you invoke the curse of Allah on your soul until eternity, that's a serious, serious thing. The Prophet ﷺ said that the one that does that and does not repent, Allah will throw them in the deepest depths of the fire. In the tafsir of that hadith says that they will be in the middle of the deepest depths of the fire. Because you know, there's always a center, like there's a center of the hurricane. I have a hurricane, there's a center to the hellfire. All right. So I'm saying all of this to you all just to show you how Shaitan is slipping into the ranks. That's first thing. Second thing, how Allah Ta'ala can be played with. And we think that we are playing with Allah, but we're actually playing with death. So what I told the brothers, because I made it very clear, anytime that I go into a prison and I become the imam of that prison, there's several things. I have a list. It's like 7 things on the list that I will not tolerate. Homosexuality is at the top of my list. Since these brothers don't have conjugal rights, like in California, married brothers have conjugal rights if they have worked themselves up to that in their behavior, they can have conjugal visits. I think it's 46 or 47 hours, if I remember correctly. They give you a housing unit and your wife can bring food and they can actually bring, I think, a couple of children, and they give you this house and, you know, y'all can act as a family for those 47 hours. And it's gated off and it's secured and everything like that. But in the state of Texas, they don't do that.
Mashallah, I just had one.
Allahu Akbar! So
Allahu Akbar. It's 48 hours.
It's 48, okay. So,
Yeah.
alhamdulillah, so what you have in the state of Texas, you have a lot of drugs, you have a lot of homosexuality, and you have a lot of external, and I'm not trying to be gross or anything like that, but external masturbation in front of female guards. Okay? So these things, you know, once I got here and found out what was what, you know, so this had to be added to my list. Because one of the things that I try to get across to the brothers in the prison, that if their character change, if the Muslim brotherhood in the prison change, they can change the environment of the whole prison, because I've seen it happen, right? So this brother turns around and invokes Allah's curse on him. So what I said, since the brother asked for the witness to come forth, I said, from this point, I'm done with it. I don't need to see or hear anything else. Whatever you brothers decide to do from this point on is on y'all, right? Because it's either the basement or the roof. Because we cannot at any time participate, encourage, or even turn a blind eye to that type of behavior. Because the next thing you know, you're gonna have some transgender dude or sister up there talking about their Yohimam and they leading you in Salat. It is a serious, serious issue, right? Because nothing is kept quiet in the prison. Everybody know where the phone's coming from, but nobody ain't gonna say nothing. Everybody know where the dope coming from, but ain't nobody gonna say nothing about that either. And people know when you are indulging in homosexuality, and they may just not say anything. So, because that's a serious thing to accuse a Muslim. And everybody in the prison system know that. Now you accuse a Christian of that, or you accuse a devil worshiper of that, that's something different. But to accuse a Muslim of that, that's a whole different ballgame, right? So I just told you all of that because it's not only creeping, it's in our communities. And we need to be very careful, and we need to be very straight up and forward with it, that we're not tolerating it. Okay? So I just wanted to share that with y'all because there's lessons in that. And it's a serious thing. But alhamdulillah. All right, y'all. If there's no other questions, I will close out. Is there anything? Questions? Anybody want to add something? Zaki?
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam to that.
How come you decided to work in the prison system? What led you there?
Say that one more time now.
What led you to work in the prison system?
Why do I?
Yeah, why did you choose to work there?
I have a great desire to help my people. I have a great desire to help my people. And this is one of the areas that I have no fear of, and everybody deserves a second chance. I truly believe that. I look at my own life, and if Allah didn't give me a second, a third, a 25th, or 56th chance, I would not be sitting here today. And I truly believe that there are some, I heard Imam Siraj say this in a lecture yesterday. He was taught, old video that I'm gonna put up for y'all. It was back in '97. And he was talking about, you know, that Allah chose what made Siraj Wahaj become a Muslim, what made Imam Quick become a Muslim? What made so-and-so become a Muslim? You know, that Allah brought us out of that wretchedness and made us Muslim. He said, that makes me think that some of our best people are still out there in the street. We just haven't touched them yet. And I believe that. I believe that there are some brothers that's in the prison system that's very, very sincere. And all they want is an opportunity. Islam gave them an opportunity to change their life. Now we know there's a lot of brothers in there that run gangs and, you know, they want to have a Muslima wife. You know, always hear that. I want a Muslima, right? They want a Muslima wife, you know, and they get these sisters that's loyal to them. And then as soon as they come out, you know, they kick it for a little bit, but she's not really what he want. And then, you know, he's drifting, he stopped coming to the masjid. You got that too. But that's no different than the people out in the world. You got an opportunity to go to the masjid and you don't go to the masjid. So what's the difference? So I believe that these brothers there's some good brothers up in there, and I think that there's some serious soldiers up in there. And I think that these brothers that come out, if they get around the right imam and the right community, because they're coming from a closed-knit environment, they still need that. They need that brotherhood. That's why the immigrant community cannot handle us, because they don't give us that type of feeling. They don't give us that type of brotherhood. They don't give us that type of need or want to be wanted or to be needed. So I feel that if these brothers come out and they're put in that type of environment, we would have some straight up soldiers. Straight soldiers, because you know, half of us ain't, if it's time to pick up a gun, half of us ain't gonna pick up one, but they will. To protect the sisters, protect the brothers, to protect the children, they will without a heartbeat. And down here in Texas, since they got all these cows and steers and horses, a lot of these brothers, they just straight up country dudes, man, and they just want to work. I would love to have a piece of land where these brothers, because there's no, one of the biggest difference between California and Texas, these brothers here don't even have a halal diet in the prison. They sell pork. I'm not selling, they serve pork here in the prison system. But the Jews are so powerful, there's 110 prisons in the state of Texas. There are only 4 Muslim chaplains for those 110 prisons. They got one rabbi, and he's a contract chaplain where the state pays him, and he positioned himself between 2 sister prisons. Like there's a prison, an old and a new, like old Folsom, new Folsom type thing. So all of the Orthodox Jews, he has the power to get them transferred down these 2 prisons. But they got the Muslims, they got us running around trying to visit all the prisons. See, it's an unbalance. And since it's unbalanced, I serve a purpose. That's one reason. And the 2 reasons, everybody deserves a chance. And it's by the grace of Allah Ta'ala that I ain't got my own butt locked up years ago. So I feel that it's a way for me to be in service to Allah, because there's an ayat in the Quran that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala says that the believers say, for surely my prayers, my service of sacrifice, my life and my death are all for Allah. I truly believe that with all of my heart. And I asked my sheikh that. I said, listen, can I use my service as an expiation of my sins that I have committed, that I have forgot to ask Allah Ta'ala for forgiveness? He said, sure. And that's why I just want to be in service. So for me, it gives me for me personally, it makes me feel needed and wanted. Like I'm accomplishing something. And maybe that's my own problems with my own self-esteem. And I know it may be seem hard for y'all to think that, you know, Imam Rakib got self-esteem problem, but that's probably one of mine. Because I always want to feel like I'm doing something good. Because that's what Jabbar means, you know, compelled to do right. My life, I have always been trying to do the right thing. And this gives me an opportunity to do so. So that's one of the reasons I do it. And I love doing it. I have no fear when I walk into a prison. I don't know why, I'm probably crazy, but I have no fear. None. And I just like today, I met a brother today, he did 40 years. He gets out next year, because you can only do 40 years. If they're not keeping you in there, if they didn't give you life without parole, 40 is the most time you could do, and they gotta let him out, right? He got locked up for a crime of passion, Muslim brother. He came home, he had a dumb lawyer. Because in the state of Texas, you can actually get off, you can get less term for a crime of passion. He came home, found his wife in the bed with another dude, and he killed him. These brothers here in Texas, they admit real easy what they did. So he said he bumped them off, right? And he said when he got convicted, the first deal that came to him was 50 years. He said he should have took the deal. He didn't take it, because if he would have did it under the crime of passion, they gave him 50 years, he would only had to do 18. So then they came to him and they gave him 40 years, another deal. He said he didn't take it, right? And if he would have took the 40 years, he would only had to do 15, and they would have let him out under the crime of passion. So when he got to the court, when he got to the sentence, the judge put the 50 and the 40 years together and gave him 90. 90 years. So he had to do 40 before he was eligible for parole, so they're gonna let him out. Serious situation.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, no problem. Anybody else? Sakina, you guys, OG, you guys something? OG was quiet. Oh, look at it. She went to the mute button and knocked herself out. That's Sakina. All right, y'all. I'm gonna close out. I don't hear y'all. Oh, there she goes. She popping back in. Let's see what the OG got. I don't care. Y'all can tell her I talk about her. OG, you got something?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. We can hear you. Walaikum assalam.
Okay. No, I think I wrote it down, but I don't know where I put it. I got 10 minutes before I get out of here, so kind of focused on that.
Okay.
I was looking for the hadith about sleeping in the early hours because it's one of the hadith of Jami that we were talking about early in the class, where Rasulullah said that sleeping in the early hours decreases your risk. It goes along in with cleaning up after Maghrib, I think you mentioned. It's in that same category.
Oh, okay.
So that's one of the reasons we taught it at the girls' retreat. Nauma Subhana Tinam, I forget how it goes. I'm throwing a blank because I'm so tired. But Rasulullah said that sleeping in the morning hours decreases your risk. Not that it's a sin. I want to make that very, very clear, because sometimes we take things too seriously and too literally. It's not a sin. It's just that it should not be done every day on a continuous basis, because it depletes the zarakat for the day. So that's why. So that's why, as Muslims, we should not sleep after Fajr. Now, once the sun comes up, you can sleep. But it's saying to wait for the sun to get above the horizon before you sleep, because that's when Allah is setting down all of your barakah and your mercy for the day, same as Maghrib. So those times you should be awoke. You should not sleep between Maghrib and Isha, and you should not sleep between Fajr and the sunrise. So I just wanted to say that.
And also with that, to add along with that, the reason for Fajr is because the angels, while we have to wait till the sun fit over the horizon, is because the angels are ascending back to Jannah. And throughout the night, those angels was going around writing down those who was up late in the night or those who were early in the morning praying to Allah, and your name is called out in paradise.
Yeah.
And then the
So your
opposite,
God is recorded at that time.
exactly. And then Maghrib and Isha, that's when the angels come down to ascend to see who is starting off the night in those ways. So, alhamdulillah.
So you miss, that's why it's saying decrease your risk, because at that particular time, you're getting your blessings and Allah's rahmah at those particular times when the angels are saying your name as to who's doing ibadah at those times.
Right.
So, but I just want to definitely reiterate that it's not a sin, and you may find some people that may say that it's not mentioned in Holy Quran, which it is not, but it's what Rasulullah SAW never did. He never slept after Fajr.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for that reminder.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all, I know it's late, so let me let y'all go.
One question, Imam.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, to piggyback a little bit on what Sister Sakina said, is
Ham
it
sandwich? Why you gotta piggyback?
is it the reason? Is one of the reasons why the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam didn't sleep either, because he waited to offer the duha prayer, the forenoon prayer?
No, no.
Isra?
The Isra prayer? Or you
The
talking about Dua?
Duha, not Thor, Duha.
Oh, Duha.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of the Isra. So when the sun rise, he would recite Surah Duha in the 2 rakats of Isra.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah. Alhamdulillah. Anybody else? All right, y'all. I apologize. May Allah forgive me. May you forgive me for holding y'all so long. But notice that y'all are written down in the annals of Allah Ta'ala's book as those who was speaking about Allah and His Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And I need to make my Isha, and I see Zaki pacing because he got to make his Isha. You know, he'd rather about to snatch the headphones off. So may Allah Ta'ala forgive us. May Allah Ta'ala have mercy on us. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr illa alladhina amanu wa aminu salihat wa tawassal bil haqq wa tawassal bis sabr. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullah.
Walaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi barakatuh.
Islam. Saliba, you still up? You want to mess with this thing a little bit?
No,
Okay.
I'm making your prayer. Making your prayer is more important.
Yeah.
But I got Isha to make too. So
Okay.
we'll figure it out. You know.
There is. I'm telling you, there's something probably right in front of you, Saliba, that's muting your system. That's muting that microphone. Something that was clicked or not need to be clicked or what have you. So I don't know. The next time we get it, if you can't figure it out, you may have to put me on video on your phone and let me see your screens while you trying to, and we both sign in the Zoom so I can help you do this. Because I just don't know.
All right.
This is my problem child when it comes to
Got a million Zooms.
Mhm. I know. So we better do this tomorrow then.
What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Wednesday. Okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right.
All
Inshallah.
right. Sound like
Oh yeah, we need to talk anyway at some point.
Well, that's why I called you earlier. I said, was it something you need to talk to me about? And you was like, no.
Oh, well, what I text you about. That's what I want to talk about.
Okay, well,
I'm gonna get out of here, y'all. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam, man.
Brother Zaki.
Yes, I'm gonna go make Isha.
All right, Shay, go ahead.
We all are. All right. This was a good class.
It really was.
All of our classes are good. We haven't had a dud class.
I'm doing
I was,
well.